Welcome, everybody, to the R&R CatCast, a fan-based podcast focusing on Montana State athletics. We're two dudes named Ryan from the state of Washington talking about our dear Montana State. We hope you enjoy it. All right, welcome back, Bobcat fans. Thanks for joining us on another episode of the R&R CatCast. I'm one of your hosts, Ryan Foley. He's your host, Ryan Thornburg. We are the Ryans of the R&R, the Montana State affiliate of the Big Sky Podcast Network. And we want to give a shout out to our sponsor, Gear Up Sports. Gear Up Sports is a youth sports platform focused on solving the uniform and apparel headache for coaches. If you're a youth or high school coach and need uniforms or player packs, please contact them at www.gearupwithus.com and make sure to mention the R&R CatCast. We're coming off the win against Sac State. Stingers down 10-0 for the first time in history. It's Veterans Day. I want to say thank you to all the veterans out there for your service. It's a good day, man. It is a good day, and we have a ginormous game coming up. Thorny, how you doing, buddy?
Doing great, man. Happy Veterans Day. Thanks to everyone who served. Appreciate that. What a win. That was exciting. Coming off a good win. Always good stuff. And playing an opponent that beat the Grizz. That was exciting to watch the Grizz lose. I'm doing good.
And now we have a Big Sky title game this coming week.
It's crazy.
At Davis. Davis is on the winning streak, nine win games. They lost to Cal early on this season. Woo. It's a big one, buddy. Buy or sell, I'm going to hit you right off the bat. The importance of this game over Cat Grizz.
Buy.
That's where I'm at,
I'm
too,
buying
buddy.
it. It's for the title, man. Big Sky title. We win this game, we guarantee the top 8 seed. I don't care what happens at Cat Grizz. We win this game.
Second. Now we're guaranteeing seeds over there.
Uh-huh. Because I'm actually
Shut your
correct.
mouth. Shut your mouth.
Correct. I'm not doing it like 6 weeks ago.
Did you even know that they were handing out 16 seeds?
Yeah.
Okay.
I did.
Yeah, I was still pretty safe with that bet, buddy.
Because I have the Twitter.
Yeah, whatever.
I have that there Twitter. You just avoid it and miss all the news and discussions and important
X is going to give it to you, but I already knew it. So there you go.
X does not give it to you.
No, I don't want the X. All right. Okay, listeners, thanks for joining us. Here's a rundown off the top of my head. We'll cover some news. We'll talk about the stats top 25. We'll go into Coach Vegan's presser. We'll get into the stats from the game against Sac State. And then we'll preview the UC Davis Aggies game. And we have a buttload. It's always fun to say that. Golden Coolies. So I want to thank you, all those people who spent time asking us questions. We'll get to them.
We have a lot to get through, I think.
Yeah, I think so. We'll go fast. Let's talk about what's in our Golden Coolies.
What's in your Golden Coolie?
What was that noise? Were you talking over that, or is that you just drinking a beer loudly?
Yes and yes.
Okay. It's like I thought I heard like a little during that. Okay. What's in your Golden Coolie is brought to you by Wilbur Ellis. Go see Shea Richter and Company up in Fort Benton for all your farming and fertilizer needs. I'm drinking a Missoula beer tonight. I guess celebratory loss in Missoula. I don't know. I just kind of picked it out. As one of my Montana beers I have. It's the Cranky Sam Brewery over in Missoula. Tropical Blonde Ale, 5.8% ABV, 27 IBUs. You know, it's pretty good. Kind of a nice little simple can here. Just kind of like the label that they kind of print off and slap on there, it looks like. But I like it. I've been to Cranky Sam's. It's kind of a cool little spot down in Missoula, kind of on the edge of downtown. It's good.
It's called Tropical Blonde?
Mm-hmm.
Huh. All right.
Citra, Cascade, Chinook, hops. It says right on there.
Nice. I don't think I've ever heard of that brewery, so that's pretty cool. Something new for me. Got a classic, Bozeman Amber.
I came close to busting it out for this too.
I was hoping we would.
left.
Yeah, it was my last one too. Thank you, Zach. This is another stash from Mr. Levere, who was giving us updates on the Bobcats. At one point, the Bobcats were playing, I think, the Northwest Indian College. They were up 50-4.
Is that good? I mean, these games are stupid.
It's terrible, actually.
They're pointless games. You could have a better scrimmage against like a gold and blue scrimmage that'd be more competitive than these games. Like make it a real game, and you'll come out with it more. Anyway, tangent.
I think send the CMR Rustlers to Bozeman. They probably could put up more points than that in the first quarter, or first half. Excuse me. So
maybe.
Hate to see those games. Anyways, catch Zach on Brickball. He's starting to put out the episodes for the season. He's doing a good job over there. Hey, Thorny, did you catch our instant reaction show?
I did. I listened to it. Yeah, good stuff.
That was pretty fun.
Yeah,
it's good stuff. Okay. All right. Well, let's talk about the news. Mr. X, do you have any news over there?
No.
Yeah, I don't think there's anything. He said Coach Vegan did say Justice is getting a little closer. Week to week, he's not starter ready. And I think that's about it as far as news goes. Montana State's 10-0 for the first time ever.
That's
ever. That's like news. history right there. So that's good. That was something I was basking in all week. And then, the Grizzlies lost, if you haven't heard. There's some news for you.
I appreciate the dichotomy, the opposites of Ryan Foley. Spent the entire instant reaction show talking about appreciating the moment, just like enjoying things. And then we had like a new recruit over the weekend, and the first comment you had was like, "He has small hands." So not appreciating the good commitment we had, 3-star commit, and you're just like, small hands.
Why do you got to do that to me?
I don't know. I felt like just outing you on that one. You're not appreciating the moment there.
I mean, the edit. I'm not going to say too much more about that. All right, let's talk about the Stats FCS rankings. Thorny salty. I like it. Let's go. North Dakota State's number 1 still, 9-1. Montana State's number 2. South Dakota State's number 3. UC Davis is number 4. Setting up the number 2, number 4 matchup in the nation, 5:00 Saturday night. That's West Coast time. South Dakota's number 5. Incarnate Word 6. Mercer's 7. Idaho moved up a spot to number 8. Nova's 9. And Montana Grizzlies are number 10. And if you bump all the way down, sneaking into the number 25 spot is Northern Arizona.
Oh, they're making the playoffs, buddy.
Could.
They could.
They need 8 wins.
It seems like nobody outside the top 10 wants to make the playoffs. It's like everyone just keeps like losing games they shouldn't lose. I think anything is up for grabs.
Buy or sell, Northern Arizona has a better chance of making the playoffs than the Grizzlies.
I'm selling that. Who did the Grizz got this week? They got like Portland State.
Portland State.
Yeah. They'll win. Well, they should win. Is it in Missoula?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, yeah, they'll beat Portland State. Then even if they lose to the Cats, which they will lose to the Cats, that what does that make them 8-3? That's playoffs.
What if the Fighting Sashays come out and just muck it up?
So if
Saturday?
They lose to Portland State and the Cats, that ends their season on a 3-game losing skid, and they finish.
They're not making the playoffs. They're 7-5 at that point.
Yeah, that's a good. They might not make it. So I mean, they are in danger of missing the playoffs.
Yeah,
for sure. If they beat Portland State, I think they're in.
I think their loss on Saturday night is either going to galvanize them or just sink the ship.
I think things are a little rocky in Missoula.
Could Bobby Houck lose his job?
No, but there was a deleted post by Logan Fife on Twitter.
Oh, I saw it, man. It was posted on eGriz. Yeah, I got up early that morning.
It's made its rounds. There's some chemistry issues going on over there. It's not. I tried to come up with something clever. Like we had Big Cat, Little Cat, and they have a much more chaotic, disruptive crappy version of that. And I was trying to come up with something clever, but I couldn't come up with anything. But things are not well in Missoula. They can't decide on a quarterback. And, yeah, it's a mess.
They're going off of Coach Houck's feels. He doesn't seem like a feeler to me. So.
Yeah, I'm not sure Bobby Houck has feelings. I've always called him the rock monster guy from the Never-Ending Story, if you know what I'm talking about, the big rock guy who eats other rocks. I think he's called the Rock Eater, possibly. That guy has no feelings. He's a rock. It all tracks. Thorny as salty. Goodness. Coming out with fire and brimstone tonight.
All right. Well,
hey, I got a question on, since we're talking national landscape, this is a Golden Coolie question. I feel it's a good time to bring it in. I'm sorry, I don't know how to pronounce your name. Lord Kadiddy, K-Diddy, K-A-D-I-D-Y, on Twitter asks us, what would it take for Montana State to jump NDSU for the playoff seeding, assuming NDSU wins out? So if NDSU wins out, what can the Cats do to possibly take the 1 seed?
Yeah, I don't think it's going to happen because if you look at North Dakota State's strength of schedule, let's see, what is it? SDSU's, I think they're number 3, and we are drastically below that. So
yeah,
I'm not seeing that going to happen. I'm trying to find where Sam Herder talked about that.
Yeah, well, the problem is for North Dakota State is they are playing Missouri State, who I believe is ranked top 25, right? And then they finish on the road at South Dakota, who's like currently, number 5? So they have like 2 top 20 matchups left. And in this scenario, they win out. They're going to finish 11-1 with a whole bunch of ranked wins. I think the only possible way for the Cats to surpass that is if we demolish UC Davis and demolish the Grizzlies. That's the only chance it's going to happen, is if we completely blow out our final two top 10 opponents. Because we've had a weak schedule up to this point. We have 2 good chances to really show everybody how good the Cats are, and winning will show that. But blowing them out will be what's required to have a chance at the 1 seed. I just don't. If NDSU wins out, I think it's theirs.
The way the bracket's projected, the 1 seed has a much easier chance of getting to the national title game than the 2 seed.
Yeah. The other one I saw had like the Cats as the 2 seed, but then like South Dakota State and Idaho are like on our side of the bracket.
And Montana.
So, I mean, that's just people projecting, but
yeah,
you want the 1 seed in general. But I don't know what's going to happen if the Bison win out.
So this is from Hero Sports. I was just reading in on it. This is Sam Herder's reporting. He says, I see the committee valuing North Dakota State's resume more due to more ranked wins and a projected year-end Massey strength of schedule ranked 3rd compared to MSU's 22nd. So yeah, I get what you're saying. Style points matter at this point. Not only wins, but style points.
Yeah, that's the only thing that's going to help a team with the bad lower strength of schedule is blowouts.
Yeah,
which we've done.
Montana State wins by 14 or 21 points and runs 300 yards on the league's top rushing defense over in Davis. That's going to make a splash. And then if we run 400 yards plus against the Grizzlies, beat them by, I don't know, God knows how much, right? So, yeah, it could happen. But, man, I'd just be super happy with the 2nd seed, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I mean, that's totally acceptable.
Yeah, all right. That's good stuff. Okay, let's talk about Coach Vigen's presser.
And now, Bobcat fans, it's time for F&F Fashion Watch, brought to you by Foley and Fisher, the only 2 that seem to really care what Brent Vigen is wearing at his press conference.
Thank you, Russell. Coach Vigen wore a simple ensemble highlighted by a dark navy suit, a navy and white striped tie, and a white press shirt. No pocket square, no baloney.
I wish the listeners could see what I just saw on my screen. Like, he has like a notepad. So he's written this all out on hand on a notepad. He held it up, completely blocked his camera. So all I saw was the back of a, what do they call it? The collegiate? Is it the collegiate notepad with the lines?
No, I have a stenopad.
But whatever the lines are, whatever it is, all I saw was paper as he's holding it up, reading it off. It's good stuff. I love it.
I put a lot of work into it.
You
Man.
do. You made it a thing. It's your own thing, and I think the fans adore you for it.
I should show you one of these years. I have a stenopad for every season, and it's went back and I looked at all the notes and all the episodes that we put out. There's a lot of work put
It's a
into
lot.
it. It's pretty cool.
Nice.
Yeah, Coach Vegan. Well, he said he kind of broke it down into a couple different categories. He had a good chunk on UC Davis. He's given Miles Hastings and Lan Larison a lot of praise. Hastings, a 6-year senior, decided to come back because Tim Plow was hired. Hastings is the number one quarterback in the Big Sky right now with 3,000 yards, a little over 3,000 yards. He has 26 touchdowns. He called him a polished vet, which he is. If you watch him, he's in complete command, just like Tommy Mlott is. And then Lan Larison, 1,500 yards, 16 touchdowns, but he also has 40 catches, and that's what he talked a little bit how that is different than how we use our backs. Lan Larison's more a well-rounded pass catcher. He also takes snaps out of the Wildcat. He can throw the ball. Offensive MVP preseason, so he will have our attention. He said UC Davis is very creative offensively. I think that was on full display last week. He also said we've had the benefit of following Davis 3 different times this year. So we've seen a lot of game film on them. And I thought that was really interesting. Probably that's something that greatly benefits us.
I've never actually considered that before. When you're watching a film on your opponent, if you're watching a future opponent multiple times, that's like, I never even, that's an interesting point.
I think I'll close with this. Right now, the media, the fans really want to talk about the 10-0. And I don't think Coach Vegan cares one bit about 10-0.
No,
I mean,
no.
as cliche as it gets, they're always like, nah, man, it's just this 1-0 mentality. And they believe that 100%. He kind of just like smiled with a smirk on his face. He goes, we just want to get another win. He goes 1-0, simple-minded. And it's fun because everyone's like, well, how about 10-0? Like, that's awesome. And they're absolutely 100% correct. If they haven't had this laser focus that this 1-0 mentality provides them, they wouldn't care. I mean, I think the Cats, like, I was thinking about this today. I think the Cats would have the same mentality if they were like 6-4 as 10-0. Like, hyper focused.
You got to
on the
flush
game
the last game, whether it was a win or a loss, is really what it's coming down to here.
Yeah. I think they will take time to think about it later on. And Ty McCullough and McKade O'Reilly were also interviewed today. And again, like Victor Flores and other media members. Grace, help me out with her last
Lawrence, name. I think.
Yeah.
I'm just
again, I don't have social media.
So, yeah.
So they are asking these, like, what's it mean? Like, how does this feel? Like, have you thought about the moment? And both those guys are like, yeah, it's cool. But only thing that really matters is this week right now. So refreshing because as fans, we can revel in it. But I take like a lot of solace knowing that our team is not like completely hyped because of this, because you get too high, you get too low. We've seen what happens with that with cat teams or in teams in general, not just the Cats, right?
Yep. Absolutely.
So there's my thoughts on Vegan's presser.
Okay. Well, yeah, I listened to it. Nothing really stood out to me, but yeah, that's all I really got on it, I guess. Not much of a takeaway from that one.
I'm thinking, so this pocket square thing real quick. I'd love for Coach Vegan to wear a pocket square. And I know there's enough people listening who probably have connections within the department. We can make this happen. I'm going to put a late season push for the pocket square.
I'm sure we could probably work our magic, pull some strings to get the word to vegan, but you can't. I mean, you can only lead a horse to water fully.
Okay,
You
so
can't
how
make
about
him
this?
wear
Like
it.
full support for the pocket square. Somebody else mentioned to me, he goes, "Hey, if we win national championship and he comes out afterwards in the press conference wearing a pocket square, there you go."
We can retire.
Yeah.
I mean, not going to retire because my voice made it onto a MSU hype video. So I'm good.
What?
I peaked.
That was really cool.
Yeah, that's pretty awesome. Appreciate
All right.
Appreciate Sam at Montana State reaching out and asking if he used the audio and putting it on there. That was a peak moment for me as a Bobcat fan. Just a fan, man. That's at the end of the day, you and I are just fans. We're no different. We do a podcast, but we're just regular dudes doing a podcast. That's all it really is. And it was awesome. It was exciting to hear myself
really cool.
on there. And it's like, oh man, that's my voice. That's my annoying voice on the podcast.
I shared it with my students. They're like, "What part was it?" I was like, "That one." They're like, "Oh yeah, that's so cool, Mr. Foley." Yeah, that is pretty cool.
Primo.
All right, man. Let's get into the stats.
Get into the stats. All right. Well, the stats is brought to you by Pronghorn Wealth Management. If you haven't looked at your botching it already. If you haven't looked at the stats on your company's 401k since Jeff Choate was coach, reach out to Kendall at Pronghorn Wealth to benchmark your current plan fees at pronghornwealth.com. All right, let's get into the stats here fully. The Bobcats crush the Hornets. Stingers down, as you like to say, 49-7 in Bozeman in the return to Bobcat Stadium the first time in, a month or whatever it was. Dominating victory. Cats roll up 24 first downs to just 15 for Sac State. The Cats are 8 of 11 on third down. As usual, this is the first time I'm looking through these stats. This is pretty fantastic. The Sac State was 6 of 16 on third down. Cats rolled up 604 yards of total offense. I did know that. 255 yards for Sac State. That's a solid defensive effort by the Cats. Just 96 passing yards for the Cats, which is kind of crazy considering we had 604 yards of total offense. 8 of 13 for 7.4 yards per pass. Sac State finished with 136 yards through the air on 13 of 30 passing for 4.5 yards per pass with 1 interception. The Cats end up with 508 yards on the ground on 51 rushing attempts for 10 yards a carry. That has to be a program record?
In Bobcat Nation, or excuse me, in Bobcat Stadium it is. We had 545 at Cal Poly 2 years ago when Marquis Johnson probably had 300 alone.
Well, I knew it wasn't a program record for yards, but yards per carry?
Oh, yards per carry? That I'm not sure.
10 yards a carry? Was that performance in Cal Poly better than 10 yards a carry? That seems ridiculous. Anyway, Sac State ends up with 119 on the ground on 32 attempts for 3.7 yards per carry. Sac State was penalized 2 times for 10 yards. The Cats, 6 penalties for 50 yards.
Jeez.
Continues to rear its ugly head throughout the season. As we head down the stretch against a couple top 10 teams, you just can't be doing this kind of stuff. Each team had a turnover. The Cats lost a fumble, I believe, by Adam Jones. And Sac State threw the interception into the end zone, I believe, was Blake Stillwell. He'll get into the individual stats and correct me if I'm wrong on that. And then Montana State, time of possession was 33 minutes and 25 seconds to Sac State's 26 minutes and 35 seconds.
A couple other ones. Kickoffs. Sac State had 2 kickoffs for 130. Montana State kicked off. Brendan Hall had 8 times he kicked it off for 520 yards. He had 8 touchbacks. Good job, Brendan. Not another some red zone. Stingers were 0 for 1 in the red zone. Montana State was 5 for 5, which is pretty stinking good. Tommy Malott had a pedestrian day. Here's Tommy's stats for you: 7 for 10 for 89 yards through the air, 4 for 40, 2 touchdowns on the ground.
And we won.
I told you that was Tommy's stats, and we won 59 or 49-7. Be like, what?
Yeah, right.
What? Okay, Chance Wilson, he went 1 for 3, 7 yards. He carried the ball 4 times for 20. Adam Jones, here's the fun stuff. 5 carries, 159 yards, averaging 31.8 yards per touch. He had a touchdown as well. Almost had 2. He got caught from behind. Oh, man, that was a bad look too, Adam. Come on, bro. Make it to the end zone. Scott Tree, he also got caught from behind on one of those. He had 12 touches, 129. He averaged 10.8. He had a touchdown. Julius Davis, 15 for 76. 2 touchdowns. I was hoping Julius Davis would get to the 100 mark. He was close. Having 3 rushers for 100 would have been really cool. Tim McCullough, 1 catch for 32 yards. And then most notably, he had an end around a 64-yard touchdown, which was his first rushing touchdown as a Bobcat. He's now rushed for a touchdown, caught a touchdown, and has thrown a touchdown this year. Colson Kuhn, 5 for 20. Taco was 2 catches for 19 yards. Ryan Lonergan, 1 catch for 13. Rohan Jones, 1 catch for 13. Junior Alexander, 2 for 12. Hunter Provience, 1 for 7. And I'll move over to the defensive side. Simeon had 2 solos. He had a sack for 15 yards, and I loved his celebration there after that. Tatum Gray, 3 total. 1 tackle for a loss. Andrew Paldrell, 2 total. 1 tackle for a loss. Kenneth Iden had 1 sack for 5 yards. John Johnson had an interception. Brendan Hall had 2 punts for 101 yards. Think about that. He's averaging over 50 yards per punt. That's just dangerous right there. I love that. Miles Sandstead was 7 for 7 on his extra points. Jump over to Sac State. Let's see. Conklin. Whew. We made him feel uncomfortable. 12 for 27, 138, the interception. And a guy you kept talking about, a dangerous dude, Elijah Tolliver. 13 for 45 with a long of 9. Put the clamps down, bro. Another last stat I was shared. We forced Sac to punt 7 times. There are your stats.
Dominating. First word that comes to mind on those stats. I felt like Sac State had some things going here and there too.
Yeah.
Like nothing to ever threaten to win the football game necessarily, but they had a few drives, a few nice plays, a couple back-to-back first downs they strung together here and there. And I was a little surprised when I looked at these to see that it was only 255 yards of total offense because it felt like a little bit more when I was watching it. But I also kind of stopped watching sometime in the second half, so I didn't actually see the entire rest of this game.
It's funny when you watch the games and Coach Ty's calling the game, him and Ben. Is it Ben Creighton?
Yeah, Creighton, yeah.
Yeah. And they're kind of silently rooting for Sac to make some sort of effort or some sort of play just to talk about something.
Yeah, it's got to be, you're a broadcaster. You want at least interesting pieces here and there. You're hoping for a good game, but at least
Montana
do something. Do something
just,
like poking with a stick. Do something. You know?
Just these blowouts at home, which has been the wildest thing to see. I called it odd on the Instant Reaction show because I can't remember a time where Montana State was consistently just pulling their starters into the third quarter.
So, at home we have 41-24 Maine, 52-13 Mercyhurst, 55-17 Northern Colorado, 38-7 Idaho, and now 49-7 Sac State. That's crazy. I need to add up the totals on it's like 300 to 80 points or something like that. It's crazy. just dismantling teams in Bobcat Stadium.
Bobcat Stadium again just looks amazing on TV. It must be the it thing to do in Bozeman right now.
That's awesome to hear because when we were there, it wasn't exactly the hip thing to do.
Oh, we've talked about stories of just walking up to the 50-yard line with our cap pass or one card. You just had to flash your one card and you just like, where do you want to sit? Anywhere you want to. You can go right up to the 50 if you want.
At kickoff.
At kickoff.
You're not showing up early to secure your seat. You're just walking in there and I guess I'll go sit right on the 50-yard line, like 5th row.
I think like when I talk to Zach, God bless Zach. Zach's like, in his 20s, we're in our 40s. And so this is all really Zach knows is like these bigger crowds, MSU winning. and that's where, like, when we were doing our instant reaction show, I was like, man, just enjoy this, because it is a special moment for Bobcat athletics. And Zach's like, oh yeah, this is great, man. But this, we've been good. We're really good. I'm like, yeah, I know, man.
Yeah.
It's all culminating right now. And I hopefully, maybe it's not culminating. That's a bad word, because that means it's going to peak and then
You keep
come back
asking. You've
down.
asked us like multiple times now. Are the Cats peaking, or can the Cats get better? Blah blah blah. I think we're still getting better.
Yeah, I think so. Man, these next 2 games are so huge, right? Like this game coming up, I'm so excited. I couldn't sleep because I kept thinking about it. And now I just want all the content. This to me feels more exciting than Cat Grizz. Like the Cat Grizz, I like when that week comes, we always talk about, like, let's just get the week over, get to the game, and then I just want to get to the playoffs at this point. Like, whatever happens in the Cat Grizz won't affect me as much, but I want to see our Cats play this weekend against Davis. I was looking through Davis's here, let's talk real quick. Let's go down into Davis real quick, because I think the Cats have a.
Are we skipping right over the Sac State recap? Go right in.
I just for a moment, just indulge me here.
Okay.
So, Davis started off with a loss against California, 31-13, and I think I heard Coulter say that they were up like 13 to something at half, and then lost it in the second half. Whatever. That's way back when. They win against East Texas A&M 36-22. They're at Southern Utah. They win 24-21. They play Utah Tech at home, and they win 32-14. So then they get into conference play. They play Idaho. So that was at Davis, and they won 28-26. They go over to Portland State. That's the contested game we've talked about on this pod, 27-26. Which we all think that they lose. And think about that, Thorny. If they lose that game, we could have had Big Sky title sewn up.
I guess I should have rooted for the Grizz then.
Yeah. All right. Go back to the schedule. So after that, though, they kind of turn things around. They get right game against Cal Poly, 56-10. They bang with Eastern Washington at Davis, 48-38. They go whoop up on Northern Colorado, 59-7. And then last week, 30-14 in Wa Grizz.
It feels
Saturday
like
night.
Their momentum is really picking up.
They're peaking at the right time,
Yes.
too, is what I'm trying to say.
Yep. Nope, the picture you painted there, just looking at the schedule, that's what's happening. So, 2 teams riding some serious momentum, clashing on the road. That's the downside. Aggies, I saw Tim Plow on Twitter put out a video imploring fans to show up for the top 4 matchup. They're rallying the troops, man. There's going to be, I think, a good turnout in Davis. It's going to be a big-time game, big stadium, big crowd. It's going to be a cool environment.
Dude, I think he's a really likable coach. Every time I get to watch him speak, he's very charismatic, and very honest. He's not trying to hide things. Like, you watch Bobby Houck speak, and he's just speaks in
so
quips and quirps, and he just very salty and abrasive. Tim Plow is he's like a grandfather almost, but not old like a grandfather. He just says
he's got that big old bushy mustache. He just looks like just a gentle man. Like
Tom Selleck on Friends rather than Tom Selleck on what's the one where he's the
Magnum PI?
No, not Magnum PI. He's the New York City chief police.
Oh, I never watched that show. I know what you're talking about. But
Blue Bloods. There it is.
There we
go. Anyways, he's a really affable guy. He fits well because obviously he played there. So he is he is UC Davis.
Yep.
Here's the deal though. it looks like they kind of had a circle of the wagons type of moment after Davis or after Portland State. They benefited from playing Cal Poly and Northern Colorado, kind of like the Grizzlies. Now that's just front and center in my brain. They played Eastern Washington. And then they just had an enormous moment in Washington Grizz. I still think we can beat them. And I don't think it has to be close, bro.
Are we fully talking about Davis now?
Do you want to talk about Sac? Because it was a beatdown. I'm not sure we want to talk about Sac. We have a ton of golden coolies to get to.
Yeah.
I want to talk about Davis because this is the biggest game I felt like the Cats have played in a long time, since Cat Grizz game last year.
Let's put a pin in the conversation. You talked about the question I want to return to when we get back to Davis. I want to talk about Sac for a little bit. The question I want to get back to, try and remember this, we'll both forget about it and move on. The win in Missoula, is that more an indictment on the Grizzlies or more a show of strength by the Aggies? So put on your thinking cap. Think about that for a minute.
I can't answer that right now?
No, you can't answer that right now. The fact that you want to answer it means we'll remember later. But I want to talk about Sac State. We got to talk about Sac State a little bit. It's not about Sac. Sac was overmatched and they had a lot of injuries, and Conklin's a good quarterback and they still had some skill makers. I remember that Grover guy. That guy's been kind of knifing the Cats for years. But overall, man, it was a good rebound game. It showed me a little bit because I was concerned coming off Eastern Washington that the Lions kind of, I didn't feel good about either of the offensive line or the defensive line coming out of Cheney. And I think what it really boils down to is Eastern is not terrible.
I told you that, man.
I know.
Just listen to me.
I know. Like you look at their, they haven't given up completely. Usually at this point, it's kind of their MO. When Eastern's like had a bad season, by the last half, they're just like, they've clocked out. They got senioritis. They're done. But they've had some close games, and coming out of that and coming back to Bobcat, I mean, it's Bobcat Stadium, so there's always a grain of salt. Well, like we steamroll teams in Bozeman. It was hilarious to see Scottree Humphrey have a huge touchdown run called back the first play of like some drive on a hold, and the very next play, Humphrey's all gassed from running like 65 yards or whatever it was, and then Adam Jones goes 63 yards down to the 2-yard line, gets caught from behind, but like back-to-back plays, like, oh man, holding play, are you kidding me? And then, then the very next play, it's the exact same thing. It's like Sac was just getting pushed around. The holes were ginormous. It was incredible.
Coach Vegan talked a little bit. He's like, kind of backfired for Sac to put 8, 9 in the box, 10 sometimes it feels like, because when we break through from that, how are you going to stop that? Yep. He's like, sometimes, it just, the runs, and I can't remember the word he said. It was like squirts or leaks or whatever. Squirts. Get to the outside and then boom, you're there.
Yeah. No, man, if your safeties and your linebackers are down in the box and you get past them, there's no one left. And that happened over and over, and they didn't adjust really.
No. Which is weird because Andy Thompson is a defensive-minded coach.
He is. But the Cats are a different animal, man. Like, yeah. We've made a lot of teams look silly this year.
I think I think Andy Thompson might be on the hot seat. I think there's 2 Big Sky coaches that are definitely on the hot seat. Mickey Mental, Andy Thompson.
So what is this, Thompson's second year?
Yeah.
And same with Mental?
Yeah.
I can't imagine either one of them are going to get fired.
Oh, I almost guarantee Mickey Mental is going to be let go. Weaver is terrible.
After second year, though?
Mickey Mental lost to Northern Colorado.
Yeah, you may be right on Mickey Mental. I don't know if a Sac State would, although
he can't keep rowing that boat.
They might fire him just to spend millions of dollars on some washed up famous coach to try and get them into the Pac-12. Like remember Portland State's when they hired Jerry Glanville back?
Yeah. Got those fun uniforms.
Yeah, they could do something like that.
Uh,
But anyway, yeah, I don't know. Sac State. I didn't think that the Cats had any trouble with this. I just didn't think it'd be quite that easy.
Agreed.
But just yeah, it was a really good game. It was really interesting to see the Cats just run the ball so dominantly and not even have to rely on the passing game. Like Sac was loaded to stop the run. All we did was run, and somehow we ended up with 500 yards on the ground. Let's let that soak in. 508 yards on the ground. That is an absurd number.
I got a question for myself. I just thought about, and it's a little bit departure from the running game. Thorny, would you want Montana State to have a close game at home?
I mean, I never want a close game.
Would it be beneficial for the Cats to have a close game at home?
Okay. Well, then yes. It'd be beneficial.
You think so?
I think it'd be beneficial for the team. I don't want any cardiac cat situations.
Gosh, we lived through, feel like a decade plus of that.
Right? I'm over that. I've had enough of that. The blowouts are just fine.
Yeah.
I'm okay.
I'm with you on that.
With steamrolling. Now, it might... The issue is, and this has been the Grizzlies' issue, right? They're so dominant in front of their home crowd at home, then you go on the road, and it's a whole different ballgame. So it's kind of like a double-edged sword a little bit. You get too used to winning easily at home. It's so easy because you're in front of your crowd. Teams fold, teams completely crumble, and then you go on the road, and teams don't crumble in that same way.
Coach Fegan talked a little bit about that today in projecting for what the Cats need to do going to Davis. See how I'm doing this weekend. And he told the boys, he goes, guys, it's not like we have to try any harder this week. We just have to do the things we do and do them slightly better. I love that. Such good advice.
That's right. I mean, we know who we are. We're not reinventing anything at this point. We're a well-defined team offensively and defensively. And I'm not sure I can say that with such certainty in the last few years. Like, I don't know. You have an identity. And I have faith in everything right now.
In everything.
In everything. In all three phases, man.
Yeah.
Maybe not a 55-yard field goal, but a 40-yard field goal? Yeah, we're going to make it.
We haven't tested the field goals much because we haven't had to, which is fine. Yeah, I don't know, man. It's a fun ride.
It's a fun ride.
Like I said, just enjoy it because it's really good right now. It's so good.
Is there anything else we want to talk about Sac State? Because I
didn't want to talk about the Stingers in the first place.
I brought us back a little bit. We had to talk a little bit about it.
All right. Can we circle back to that question?
Absolutely. What was the question? I forgot it already.
Yeah. Not really sure. But I did have a thought on what the answer was.
It was their win in Missoula more of a show of strength for like UC Davis, or was that just more of an indictment on the Grizzlies just not being that good?
I think it's a both and. I'll start with the strength from Davis. So early on in that game, they had, I think, 3 back-to-back procedure penalties. So they ended up being like 3rd and 20 or something like that, where they had a couple false starts. And you're like, oh, here we go. You know, the crowd's going to bury them.
Yep.
They're going to wilt. They did not. And that is, to me, a sign of a mentally and a mature senior-laden team. And that, to me, was super impressive. Because if you don't wilt on ESPN Blackout Friday night, Wagriz, you know, all that mystique we talked about last week, and you come back and you win that game by a considerable amount, that was stinking impressive to me.
Yep.
Now, flip side, the both and is, I think the Grizzlies showed some major chinks in how they're managing just their game flow. Like, I think if they let Fife cook, it's close. it's a lot closer. We maybe have a game. That whole situation is just really weird. I also think the Grizzlies defense is they look light on the front line. I light on their defensive line. I think our offensive line is just going to feast on that.
Yeah, the
Let's put it
Grizzlies
that way.
defense still looks like they're playing at that same like fire and intensity. It's just like they don't have like the dudes this year.
Yeah, they're twitchy and fast, and they want to rally to the ball kind of deal. But I don't know, dude. Nothing stood out to me. Or like, I don't think we can't score on them.
Before I answer the Davis question, I want to go back to what you said. I've only watched the Grizzlies a handful of times this year, not even like entire games through. Logan Fife seems like such a better version of a quarterback in this moment than Ayat. Like, it just kind of like, why are you just going away from him? It seems obvious to me as a casual observer of the Grizzlies, like Logan Fife is better. So I don't know what I'm missing.
Oh, it's tough, dude. Yeah.
I like Ayat. He's just not there yet. He's still like a freshman. He makes freshman mistakes out there. Logan Fife is better right now. And I don't know if Bobby Houck is doing that just to try and keep it's that new age thing of give him some snaps so he doesn't transfer. Is he just trying to keep them both in Missoula? Keep them both satiated?
I don't think that happens. I just don't.
I think it happens in some programs. I'm not sure that happens in Bobby Houck's program. Bobby Houck is very much of a, you don't want to be in Missoula, get the hell out of Missoula kind of guy.
It's weird because there's a narrative, like, and Ty McCullough keeps bringing it up. He's like, yeah, once we let one quarterback cook, we're way better.
Yeah. And McCullough's been harping on that like since the preseason stuff. And
like at one point today, I was like, I'm wondering if he's low key trolling the Grizzlies right now, like knowingly doing that. And I'm not convinced he wasn't, to be honest.
I would love it if he was, and not just riffing on how the Cats have been under, since he's been here with the 2 QB system. I will say what MSU did and what NDSU does and other programs that do it successfully, 2 QB system, the Grizzlies ain't doing that. But to answer the question, so UC Davis, I think, was what they showed me was extreme mental toughness.
Yeah.
They go into Missoula and they did not wilt. They had a lot of penalties in that game too. A lot of procedural penalties. The crowd got to them, but they didn't wilt. And the Grizzlies came out and scored. Like, I think Grizzlies came down scored right away and made it look pretty easy. And you're thinking, here we go. But they responded. They buckled down and they beat a team that they're better than, period. UC Davis is a better football team than Montana.
Yeah.
If that game's not in Missoula, it's not even that close.
No.
So they withstood the barrage and the mystique and all that stuff that is Washington Grizzly Stadium. And now the Grizzlies have lost twice at home this year. That's rare. But I'm not convinced UC Davis is an amazing football team necessarily, but what they did mentally tough football team, and those football teams are dangerous.
Very much like Montana State. I see a lot of parallels in Montana State and UC Davis right now. And the thing I kept racking my brain is it feels like UC Davis has just arrived at this spot. And maybe it's just because we don't hear a lot about them. We don't see the toil. We don't hear the backstory all that time. And it feels like Montana State has grinded its way to this spot. And I just feel Montana State has better depth, more prepared, kind of, check it down the line. How are they going to respond on the road to a team that just did what you just talked about in Missoula? Big Sky Championship on the line. It's huge. I'm not sure what to think. My gut tells me Montana State rolls just because that's what I've seen this year. There's nothing that tells me that they can't. But I don't want to be overconfident and we don't make predictions on this podcast either because there's a little bit of superstition behind that, right? But I've never felt more confident in the Bobcats in my entire life than I have right now.
Yeah. No, I'm in the same boat, and I think UC Davis is a really good football team, and I haven't watched very much of them. But what I saw in Missoula, nothing about what I saw says the Cats can't beat them.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying the Cats are gonna roll. I'm not predicting anything, but like there's like, oh shit, how are we gonna deal with this? How are we gonna run against their front? Yeah, they had number 1 rated rush defense in the league or whatever. So did Idaho. Any team has a number 1 rush defense until they play Montana State, and then their stats get just destroyed.
So here's the storyline, Thorny. Here's some things I looked at yesterday. MSU. So I'm just gonna run off a couple conference stats. Okay, MSU is number 1 in the offense, averaging 42.3 points and 520.6 yards per game. MSU is number 1 in scoring defense, only allowing 17.2 points per game and 297 yards per game. So that's just Montana State. So where I think this gets a little bit fun is Davis is the top rush defense, only allowing 118.3 yards per game.
No, Montana State top rush defense.
Are you sure?
I'm looking at the Big Sky Conference stat website right now.
Well, you should have just played stupid and just let me make my point and they are the top pass offense, averaging 317.3 yards per game.
Correct.
Juxtapose that against Montana State is the top pass defense, only allowing 178.5 yards per game. And we are obviously the top rushing offense. So like our strength versus their strength is both on both sides, both passing and defense. So it's like the two titans in the Big Sky right now coming against each other.
If you look at the passing defense, UC Davis is 8th. So do the Cats come out and try and throw the ball a little bit?
So, that's another thing. I think Tyler Walker's been really good this year at mixing things up and balancing things. Coach Vegan talked today a little bit about, hey, we didn't have to pass the ball. I think what did we have? Only 10 attempts?
Something like that, yeah.
For Tommy, 13 attempts?
Yeah, we had like 98 passing yards or something like that.
Oh, so
13 passing attempts, and some of those were Chance Wilson.
The passing game is there. We want it. Davis has some really good safeties, though. They're like big physical dudes.
So I've liked Rex Connors, their number 4, their safety, since I saw him last year. He was like a freshman phenom last year. I think he's just a sophomore. Maybe it was 2 years ago as a freshman, but I've liked him since he came on the scene. The Cats played them last year, a couple years ago. The team had a really good game in Missoula. He might have had the interception in the end zone, one of those ones that really kind of sealed the game. And then the linebacker they had, number 39, I don't know his name. That guy was a wrecking ball in Missoula. That guy's a dude. So those are two guys you got to look out for. Number 4, Rex Connors. Number 39, guy, I don't know his name. Let me see if I can look it up here. But Davis has some dudes, man. They got some players. There's some serious talent. I like Miles Hastings a lot. Their quarterback. He's a football guy.
Yeah.
He's a football guy. He goes out there. He's just got like this simple, the two little black lines under his eyes. He doesn't wear like gloves. He has like the wristband. He's like licking his hand. He looks like a quarterback, you know?
He is a quarterback.
I know, but he looks like just old school, like he belongs like in the 70s.
Oh, okay.
Like
Gotcha.
an old school, just tough guy quarterback. He doesn't have the playbook on his wrist. He doesn't have like a throwing glove on. He's just a dude.
Think about this. Here's an interesting fact. To prepare for the noise at Washington Grizzly Stadium, Tim Plow had his guys memorize 31 call plays. So they have they yell in the word baloney. And baloney is assigned to a play. They normally have 10, he said, but to prepare for the game, He trusts the guys to get 31 call games or 31 call plays in. That's impressive, bro.
Yep.
That's stinking impressive.
To learn 31 plays in like a week, I can do it. Not gonna lie.
All right, buddy. Hey, let's, can we get into some golden coolies?
Johnny Longman on Twitter asked us, "What's your spread prediction?" It may have already come out, but I haven't seen it. So,
I checked today. I didn't see a line, at least on ESPN. I didn't log into like Montana Sportsbet or anything like that. I'm guessing
it's probably like Cats 3.5 or something.
I was gonna say Cats. Yeah, 5.5.
Yeah, I could see that.
Mhm.
I'd be surprised if it was more than like 6 for the Cats. But I think it should be the Cats, though. I think the Cats should be favored. What's your over and under in points? What would you say to that?
Ooh.
You're the odds maker. You're Vegas here, so this is
65.
65.
Yeah.
I think Eastern was 59.5. Gosh, I was thinking it'd be like low 50s.
Okay.
I could see it being 60. I could see it being that high. I'd say 55.5, 55.5.
All right. Does it have to be one of those 0.5s?
I mean, if it's an over and under type situation, yes.
Yeah. Fair.
Because it can't land. You can't say 56, and then it's exactly 56. I'm going to keep going on Twitter if that's okay.
Sure.
Brant on Twitter, name the biggest factor that will determine this week's winner down in California. As these two teams battle it out for the outright claim to the Big Sky title, I believe that turnovers will be the momentum changers that greatly affect this game. So, yeah, he says turnovers. Sorry, I probably butchered that. I can't read right now.
I think who can...
I think he's right.
Montana State can run the ball. I think that's the determining factor.
So
how many line of scrimmage?
How many yards do the Cats need then
to run the ball?
Yeah.
Well, this could be weird though. This could be like a 200-yard game, but we go for 250 in the air. What if Tommy Malott has hit? What if Tommy Malott passes for 300 in this game?
I will buy you a steak dinner next time I see you.
Can we put it on the company card?
Yeah, absolutely we can. Absolutely.
Yeah, I don't know, man. It's weird because I was thinking every time I think Tommy Mallott's gonna have a huge passing game, we rush for 400 and then we pass for 120. So it's tough, man. Turnovers is an easy thing to say. Shoot, I think I'm going to go time of possession. I've been harping on that all year long. Montana State's been winning time of possession, and we're 10-0. Time of possession. There you go.
That's a good one. That's good. I like that one.
All right.
Another one to be considered would be penalties.
Yeah, I don't want to see any more. I mean, we had 2 personal fouls. That's just stupid. I'm tired of that crap.
If we have more than like 6 penalties and more than 70 yards of penalties, I think our chances of winning kind of start to diminish.
It's getting almost comical in my brain where the flag goes on the field and you're like, yeah, that one's coming back. Or
right.
What do we do now? It's rarely, in our favor lately. I'm like, what's going on? Why are we having still troubles with this? We didn't have troubles with it last year.
Not to this degree. It doesn't feel like it. I don't think the Cats are statistically like that bad, but it's not good. It's not good. Last one I have. This is a good question. Cat fan. Yeah, his handle just says Cat fan. There is going to be a game in which Tommy's run game is unleashed. Is this the week or is it the Grizz? I kind of feel it was Idaho a little bit. Wasn't that the game he had a big rushing performance?
Gosh, that's a really good question. Yeah, Tommy was unleashed in Idaho, and he was unleashed a little bit in Eastern as well.
Yeah, but he only has 6 carries at Eastern.
Yeah, Big Sky titles on the line. Coach Vegan talked about. He said that's one of their major goals. I think they pull all stops, but do they need Tommy to be that running quarterback? Tommy's stat line for rushing on this game
Yeah,
looks.
do a player prop. If you're Sports Bet Montana, where the hell the betting company is in Montana, what's your prop bet on Tommy Millott?
I'll look back at Eastern real quick. Tommy was okay. All right.
125 yards and a touchdown. Idaho, he had 11 carries. That's the only game the next closest was 9 at New Mexico.
So Cap fan, here's if he's unleashed, he's going to get 10 carries for 125 yards. If
he's unleashed.
If he's unleashed. Yeah. And it could be more than that because he had 6 for 125 against Eastern. So 10 carries, 150. My guess is Tommy's going to have 7 carries, 95 yards, and he's going to pass. He'll have, I like to say 220.
220.
Yeah.
Nice.
And then with 20 attempts.
He's only passed over 220 twice this year.
Yep.
Against Northern Colorado and Portland State.
That's tough, though. I don't know if my gut's telling me that anymore. That's a tough one, dude. That's a really good question.
Yep.
What's your thoughts?
I don't think he'll be unleashed in this game. I think he has under 10 carries, but I wouldn't be surprised if he goes over 100. I guess that's your definition of unleashed, I guess. But I think we'll see kind of what we've seen where he has that 5 to 7 yard or 5 to 7 carry type game and like 80 to 100 yards somewhere in there. Because I think the Cats can run the ball without him.
Yeah. We used to run him like 20 times a game.
That's crazy. That's crazy.
I know. Yeah.
They've done a really good job. I want to give props to the coaching staff for he's had 59 carries the entire year. That's it. 59.
And he's the fastest guy on the field.
So 5.9 yards or 5.9 carries, like 6 carries a game.
Yeah.
That's good. That's good. Keeps him healthy. He's taking like no real bad, like you hold your breath hits this year.
There's one where the guy, when they tackle and they wrap up and they just wrench onto the leg as they twirl.
Yeah, I mean, he's had some gets tackled and kind of bent around a little bit, but he hasn't gotten crushed. Like a lot of the option stuff he did last year, he'd pitch the ball and then he'd just get demolished right after the pitching of the ball. That hasn't happened this year. So that's good.
All right. Golden Coolies.
I think that's all I got on that there Twitter.
I want to ask this question because it's a new recruit, and I always like when new people come on and specifically ask questions. But I'm going to use an answer that was posted, not my answer, because I think this is a really good answer. Run the ball is the poster says, with only 2 games left, could you run through the possible scenarios for the Cats? Win or loss versus Davis, win or loss versus the Grizz, potential outcomes for ranking and seeds. MSU 01, who is a known poster, says, I can see the Bobcats ending up anywhere from 1 to 6, depending on the results of the last 2 games. My best guess for the possible outcomes would be, and then he goes on to list them. Number 1, we beat Davis, we beat UM. NDSU loses to either Missouri, State, or South Dakota. Or number 2, we beat Davis, beat UM, NDSU wins out, status quo outcome. So that's, in his case, the most likely outcome, that we are the 2 seed. We got 2 more wins in us, and NDSU wins out. We get the 3rd seed. We beat Davis. We lose to U of M. NDSU, SDSU are 1 and 2, but MSU is 11 and 1. in the Big Sky Auto bid. We lose to Davis, beat the Grizz. This is the number 4 scenario. Excuse me. MSU falls behind Davis in the seeds as well as the 2 Dakota State schools. We get the 5 seed if we lose to Davis, lose to the Grizz. USD loses to NDSU and finishes 8-3. And we get the number 6 seed as we lose to Davis, lose to the Grizz. USD beats NDSU and finishes 9-2 to jump ahead of MSU. Whew. There's a lot of scenarios.
What's the question?
He says, with only 2 games, what are the possible scenarios for the Cats? Possible rankings or seeds?
I think you laid them all out there.
Yeah. So I'm going to give props to MSU 01 on that. That was...
Yeah. I mean, I didn't do enough
stuff.
research to kind of answer that question. I guess that's a hard one to answer on the fly. I do think... So, I guess, Foley, let me ask you this. What's the lowest seed you think the Cats will get?
4.
I think 5, but gosh, I hope it's 4 because 4 guarantees home games all the way up to the semifinals. 5 is a different beast.
I think the Cats. I was talking to my sons about this today. Not that they're, deep Bobcat thinkers like I am. Montana State goes at worst 1-2 over the next 2 games.
Really? They go 1-2 with 2 games?
At worst. I think that's like the floor.
You're missing it. 1-2 means there's 3 games fully.
Okay. Well, out of the 2 games,
do they go 1-1 or do they go 0-2?
1-1. 1-1. Okay. Fair enough. Alrighty. Let's see. Missoula Cat fan says, buy or sell. Scotty Humphrey breaks Infante's single season rushing record. 1,623 yards in 2021.
What's he at?
Right now, he has... Oh, I clicked away from
1,191 yards? That's a lot of yards left to go.
Well, see, this is where I get a little bit confused. Is
the 12-game
playoffs
season
counted for this?
Yeah, playoffs count, and there's a 12-game regular season. So, what was it, 1,600 and something?
Yeah, so let's say Montana State has 4 more games, conservatively.
He needs 500 yards. He's averaging 119 yards a game. So theoretically, 4 games could do it. And I think
really only needs 400 more yards. Ish.
I mean, I think the Cats will play at least 4 football games. It's possible.
Yeah. I'm going to buy it, actually.
I will buy it. I think I'll buy it because he seems to be the dude, even with Davis back. I thought Davis coming back would kind of bump Scotty's carries down a little bit, and maybe they're still working Davis back a little bit. Davis seems a little not quite up to his old self just yet.
400 yards in 4 games, Scotty.
Well, we
could have 5 more games.
Sorry? What was the total Afonse's record?
1,623. It's going to be close.
I mean, yeah, he's 432 yards.
Yeah, I'm going to buy it.
I'll buy it too.
Missoula, my second question, buy or sell. Scotty Humphrey breaks Troy's single-season rushing touchdown record this year. Troy had 21 in 2018.
That I don't think so.
And how many does he have right now?
He has 13, so he needs 9 to break it.
Yeah, I will sell.
Gosh, that's a crazy number. 21. You know who's leading the Big Sky right now in touchdowns? Rushing touchdowns?
Gilman?
Just to give you an example, Troy had 21. The leader is Scotty Humphrey. 13. Eli Gilman has 12. All I've heard all year long is Eli Gilman's the best running back in the Big Sky, and yet somehow he's 300 yards short of Scotty Humphrey in the same amount of games played and 1 less touchdown. I don't know. Although Scotty Humphrey, according to the Big Sky statistics, has a long of 0 yards. That's not very good. Something's going on wrong with the statistics as long as 0. But he's averaging 119 yards a game, and Gilman's averaging 78.7 yards a game. I mean, right now, Scotty Humphrey statistically is the best running back in the Big Sky.
I mean, he
In
could
every
break all
single
those,
category. In every
but
category.
Montana State's not going to continue to not just like so. We just used Afonso and exclusively until he couldn't run anymore. We have Adam Jones, Julius Davis. Think about that, Thorny. There's your lineup. Julius Davis is your third running back in this lineup.
Mm-hmm.
And we're not even talking like Jared White, Colson Goon.
No. Who are very capable running backs.
Yeah. Jared White. Stud. Absolute stud.
You know who's got the best yards per carry in the entire Big Sky Conference right now?
Adam Jones.
Ty McCullough.
Ty McCullough?
Yeah. He's only got 8 carries, though. Of anybody who's actually running the ball very often, it's Tommy Millott.
Oh, all right.
He's got 9.9 yards per carry.
Okay. Roger Fisher says, how's Thorny's Gold Rush shirt doing?
That's actually fine. I'm not wearing it very often. I've only worn it maybe 4 times.
What?
And that's like legitimate. I don't wash T-shirts sometimes after 4, depending on what's happened with them. So it's fine.
Wow. I thought that was we talked about that. I thought you said you wore that every game.
I have historically. I just haven't this year. It's been a weird year for me.
Okay.
A lot going on. You know about this. Just haven't.
Alrighty.
I'm lucky if I wear a Bobcat shirt at all sometimes for football games. Half the time.
Oh.
Just wearing like a random like Eddie Bauer shirt or something.
Nothing says you're 40 more than wearing Eddie Bauer. I like it.
Mm-hmm. Thank you.
Roger Fisher also says, what's been your favorite whoop down this historic season? I know mine.
Idaho.
Oh, yeah. Dude, I wanted revenge over those suckers so bad. That felt so good.
Yeah, it was the revenge factor, just the rhetoric of the Idaho fans being cocky about everything. And I don't know. It was very satisfying.
Yeah, it's
just
cathartic.
to steamroll them.
Yeah. I think everybody's there, Fisher. Okay, Bleeding Blue says, would you fellas like to change your answer? And he says, assuming Tommy can stay healthy all year, could this offense be one of the best the FCS has ever seen? My reply was, what did we say? I can't remember. And he responded with, in a roundabout way, no. Do you remember this conversation?
I remember the question. I don't remember my answer, but it must have been not the best of all time. And I'm not sure it's the best of all time necessarily right now. Like, so is this going to go down in history as like one of the best FCS offenses ever?
Tommy Millott's going to go down as one of the best quarterbacks ever for Montana State, if not the best quarterback ever of Montana State. And I still would take Tyler Lule or Travis Lule over him. As far as just a quarterback goes, but Tommy Millott is absolutely amazing. Again, I still pick the wife's chili too last year. If I could have gone back to last year, I would have let Sean Chambers cook the whole season. And I would have found a way for Tommy Millott to be integrated into the offense in a different way. I just thought Sean Chambers had that specialness to him that we could have used both. In a different way that Taylor Housewright put forward. So I know people are going to say Foley's just anti-Tommy. I'm not. I think about this a lot, and I really like Tommy Millott, and I think he's a great quarterback. I think he's an amazing quarterback. Yeah, I'm a Lule guy. Is it the best ever? No, I don't think so. I still think those Dakota Prukop offenses probably eclipse these offenses.
What a very long roundabout backhanded compliment you just had there.
It's late. I'm sorry.
Hey, so you just made me think about something though. Prukop offenses had to cook the entire game because their defense was atrocious. Tommy's been out at third quarter all season.
Well,
How does that factor into your equation here? Tommy's
and-
played 70% of all the possible games or all the possible snaps he could have played all year long. Like 70%, probably 75 at most.
It is fun to watch this offense, though, because if you like running the ball, which we all do, then this is just like going to the buffet line. Get as much as you want.
I don't know. It's probably one of the most dominant offenses I've seen in Montana State. It's up there.
Prukop was more splashy. It was like wheel routes. We're just going to burn you over the top of Sean Johnson and laugh in your face. This is more like take your soul kind of stuff. So
Yeah,
it's just different.
it is different, and it's definitely not as appealing to the eyes as some of those old offenses. Even like the McGee offenses were just a little bit more palatable. You've watched a lot of football in your life. There's just like a certain what you expect to watch in a football game, like being able to throw 12-yard passes to a hitch route and complete those passes, and it's just like it's just different. It's just different. it's just different. I don't know how else to explain it really.
Okay.
It's not stereotypical. It's not what you expect to see, but it's working very efficiently and effectively. So we're scoring a lot of points and we're racking up yards. That's all that really matters in the grand scheme of offensive production.
It's true, man. It's true. I just kind of wonder what happens if we can't run the ball somehow. I don't know if that's even going to be a thing. I think our offensive line is maybe the best unit I've ever seen in Bobcat football, period.
Yeah.
We are so damn good on the line. It's unreal. All right. Hey, Liquid 360 says, do you have any superstition habits that you have fallen into this season, new, old, or any at all?
I mean, I'm still rocking my Gold Rush tradition. Other than that, no, nothing new.
I've been brushing my teeth before every podcast this year for some reason.
But you drink beer, so you brush your teeth before you drink beer, you psycho?
Yeah, I don't know. I just want to feel fresh coming into the podcast, and so I brush my teeth before I sit here and jibber jabber a little bit. So
I'm gonna reserve my comments on that.
mm-hmm.
That's interesting.
Blue and gold.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
We'll just go with that.
Blue and Gold Blitz says, hypothetically, if Justice plays this week, how does the O-line get changed up? Does Colsane sit? Does he take right guard? Do we move Marcus back to right tackle? Does Titan sit? What are your thoughts?
We've been asking this question. We've answered this a couple of times, and I still don't have a good answer for it.
I don't think I don't change things, man.
I feel like
this. We think about this a ton.
Yeah.
I love Justice Perkins, but you just don't switch it up right now.
You don't mess with what's working.
No.
I feel like if it would have happened maybe at Portland State or came back during the bye week and got some time in Northern Colorado, but coming down the stretch when we're playing 2 top 10 teams, 2 top 5 teams, and we've been playing the way we've been playing and dominating people, like why mess with it? And I love Justice Perkins, and I feel very bad for him and to say this, but that's how it works sometimes in football, man. You just get hurt, and then you just lose your job, and it sucks. But I can't see it being better than it is.
It's tough. It's tough.
Blue
and Gold Blitz had a second question. He says, if you're Bobcat coaches this week, do you scheme to take Larson away or make Hastings beat you with his arm?
I think you make Hastings beat you with your arm.
Yeah, you try to make him one-dimensional.
The thing that sucks, and I wanted to talk a little bit about this, and sucks is the wrong word, but the thing I'm worried about is you and I both kind of expressed our concern a little bit with the short passing game against the Cats. That's what Hastings thrives on. Like that's That's his MO. That's what he does. He throws those 5 to 20-yard passes. He's not throwing 80-yard touchdown passes. He's throwing a whole bunch. He's completing like 25 passes a game. And he's completing like 70% of them.
So do you see Montana State? See, I think this is what they're going to do because this is what we've been doing is just rushing 4 and then, playing coverage on the back end. And our defensive backs have been playing lights out. I don't think we change from that.
No.
But if we get, do we deviate from that if we're getting eat up? I mean, we got to send pressure at one point, right?
Yep. No, I agree with that. I think we stick with what we've been doing, and if it starts to not work, we got to dial something else up. But the thing is, like, I don't know if we've played a team that throws to the running back as much as Davis does either. So rushing 4, you got to have someone kind of spying Larison a little bit.
Coming into this game.
What's that?
Bobby Daly will have to have like plan A, plan B, plan A, A sub B.
Yeah. It's going to be tough. I think we'll be able to score on their defense. I think it'll be hard to keep them out of the end zone a couple times.
Smith 427 says, buy or sell. I want us to be on the same side of the bracket as South Dakota State, so Tommy's senior year can be A 2023 revenge game by beating the Grizz, B, 2022 revenge by beating SDSU in the semifinals, and C, 2021 revenge by beating NDSU in the championship.
Hell yeah, brother. I like that line. I like that line of thinking. I'm going to just say yes.
Just lining them up. I like it. That is
Knock
a good one.
It was either last season or a couple seasons ago where I said everything was kind of the monkey toss in the season where we're getting all the monkeys off our back. We're beating teams that we haven't beat forever, blah, blah, blah. Well, this is the revenge season. We already got Idaho.
I like that.
First one.
That's good.
Season of the revenge.
Our good buddy CNC Cat, Jonathan, says, stealing the MSU media teams question, if you could only have one meal for the rest of your life, what would it be?
Chicken fried steak and eggs and crispy shredded hash browns.
Very specific.
The funny thing is I put no thought into this until you answered that. That just was like, that's what my brain said to me just now. So, and then I guess a beer to go with it. Why the hell not? I almost dropped the F-bomb. Why the hell not? I've had several beers.
Well, if you're eating chicken fried steak every meal for the rest of your life, you're not going to live a long time. So you might as well drink the beer and go with it. I'm going. Oh, this is a tough one.
You're going to say like sauteed shrimp and sauteed zucchini or something boring.
Oh my gosh.
And some rice.
Off my lawn.
Some plain basmati rice.
Gotta wash it before you cook it.
Of course.
I think like some sort of Asian type noodle. Chow mein, lo mein.
Okay. One of the mains. That's a good choice. I'm on board with that. I was legitimately concerned you were going to say something super boring, but that's edible.
I'm a huge Asian food fan. Although, if you had to press me on it, if you had to give me, like, if you actually had to choose one food for the rest of your life,
one meal, right? Not just a single food.
Oh, I don't know.
I'm just making sure I understand the question right. That's all.
No, if you could have one meal. Oh, one meal.
Yeah, so the whole shebang.
That's different.
Yeah, it's everything, not just like one. I'm not eating just chicken fried steak. I gotta have the eggs and the hash browns together. It's a meal.
I'd probably do some sort of like grilled chicken, rice, and broccoli.
Yeah, that tracks.
Yeah,
it's a very boring answer.
It is, but it's delicious and it's healthy for you. So there you go.
Nice.
That tracks. That's what the kids are saying these days. That fits. It tracks. It's checks out. Stuff like that. You're all hip with the Twitter. Look at you.
I'm just a kid. Just a 41-year-old kid. Drinking a few beers.
All right, buddy. I think that's it as far as Golden Coolie questions go.
Who are we giving the Coolie to?
Well, I know who we're going to give it to. It is the guy that you had the most visceral reaction for, and that is Smith 427. His question about, I have to scroll all the way back down.
I had a visceral reaction.
The revenge. It's the revenge tour.
Oh, yeah.
And that's the first time I heard you say that. So Smith 427.
It's the first time I thought about it. All right. Yeah, it made me think about that. So I agree.
Yep.
Thought-provoking.
Yeah. It's like you lit up when I read that question. You're like, hell yeah, that's what we're doing.
Well, if I'm in a certain mindset right now. Normally I'd be like, oh, I don't know about that, or blah, blah, blah. I'm like, yeah, hell yeah. Just felt right.
Oh, man. Hey, in summation, as we finish this thing up, one of the biggest games I can think of coming up this Saturday. How are you feeling?
Confident.
Tell me your gut. Huh?
Confident.
Yeah.
And a victory. Not a blowout, but I think the Cats can win this game. I think Cats will win this game.
Yeah.
You said, I never most confident I think I've ever felt about a Montana State football team. Which should that make me nervous that I'm that confident? Maybe. But I don't know, man. I'm just feel it.
I'm with you, brother. I'm with you. It's a good feeling, and if we don't let ourselves feel this now, then when will we? Right?
Yeah, you don't need to be confident or cocky or anything, but just like, gosh, I just feel like the Cats are. I'm not worried we're gonna lose.
Yeah,
that's it. That's just all it boils down to. I believe in the Bobcats. I believe in this year's version of Montana State Bobcats. I believe.
It's been weird my whole life. I've always felt like if I get overconfident, it somehow will have some sort of negative
Waiting
effect.
For that shoe to drop, right? The other shoe.
Yeah, right. Like there's what was that Golden Coolie question about being superstitious? Well, that's a superstitious thought.
It is.
Like if I believe the Cats are going to win, we're going to lose, right?
Yeah. Yeah. If you get too confident, we'll lose. That is superstitious. It's not how it works.
I don't feel like the Cats have that problem. They believe in themselves.
That's right.
Yeah. All right.
Whoa! I'm excited, man. 5 o'clock our time, 6 o'clock Montana time. I hope everyone's tuned in.
Oh, they will be. It's the biggest game in the FCS.
That is absolutely one of the biggest games in college football. I think, I dare say. There's been a push on Twitter about people like game day should go to Davis, like random people, because it's just exciting. People are excited for the game.
It should be. Coach Vegan talked about it today. He said, hey, it's an easy place to get to. If you can make it, get your butt there.
I thought about going. I really did. Saving that for playoff game, probably. Well, we had some technical difficulties right there at the end. I guess that's what you get for being too confident. Our podcast crashes. But we're about ready to get out of here. But what I was saying to you, Foley, is I was just messaging on Twitter with Jockway Allen. What do you think about Jockway Allen hopping on next week to help us preview the Cat Grizz?
I would love that, man. That would be so cool.
I think it'd be awesome. I think it'd be great to have a former Bobcat player, recent Bobcat player, hop on, preview the Cats. I know he's been following the Cats a lot this year, and help us talk a little bit about his experience in Cat Grizz. I think it'll be a good episode. So look forward to that next week. Is there anything else you want to say about Davis, Sac State? Anything else? Get off your chest before we get out of here.
Can't wait, man. It is the game of the year.
Absolutely. The game of the year at the moment. Let's go. All right. Thanks, everyone, for listening. We appreciate you tuning in to our little podcast here. You can always find us on the web, our Catcast. You can find us on Twitter, our Catcast. Foley, I just want to get out of here. I'm excited. It's a great time to be a Bobcat fan. We're 10-0. Appreciate that. Go Cats.
Go Cats.